So then we are back with more understanding from the time of the Second Tabernacle services, where we find in the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Tzayelic lineage. So then we can understand the time of the end in period Shiahu the prophet. We find in the 61st chapter where we read then the restoration of the cities of the Messiah laid waste for many centuries. Also then, the Messiah went a step further, realizing the reduction of the time. So then, his people, the set apart, enlightened, only those who were then invited into the holy cities would then resume the holy services. We find then during this transitional time of the 1,000 years of the seat back into the schedule of the Creator, then we find ourselves understanding then how nations should act as then preparing themselves for the trade of the end. So then thus far, we observe our country's politics. There is not much going on. In fact, we are far behind. And then reading the projects of the country, those are not very magnanimous. They don't bring a true update or then an improvement in our economy. It is truly becoming ridiculous, the lack of ability of our government, of the simple fact of understanding the trade of the end. Thus then, when we evaluate from the instructions, from the original instructions, then we realize then China is going to become the worldwide power. And then the nations around the world, they must adapt their subsystems so then they can do trade with China. So then, as far as expecting then a divine guidance other than what was already given 2,500 years ago, what is then our country is doing as far as not understanding what it means? Do we think as a nation then our government would be able to recuperate our influence around the world? We can barely make our economy or the improvement of our economy. We are barely making it. We are printing more than we are earning. So it's not going to improve. That's the basic factor. So then, understanding from the instructions, we find then there are few countries from the BRICS, those are online with the holy instruction. The rest of the world, they are on their own. It's kind of a surprising our country not able then of observing these heavenly directives. And it's truly incredible. We watch then the politics. These people, they are going to and fro yet. If they were trying to find a solution from a divine realm where it doesn't exist, because whatsoever was, it was already given more than a couple thousand years ago. But then relinquishing these, trying, and it's not going to work. And then the very factor of Israel being then the light, as we would expect, they are at war again. So what we've tried last year as peacemakers purchasing the war from Israel ended up at war. So what was then realized last year became true. What other proof of it do we want? It was said last year, if we would have given space for China and then would ask them to patrol some of the areas of the oceans, we would be retrieving at the moment without jeopardizing the security. Not only we overextended ourselves, then we gave our money, and then Israel is at war again with Gaza. So we are then becoming a bit more stupid. Because Daniel the prophet indicated via the angel, people would go to and fro for a time, then would have a peak of knowledge, then from this peak of knowledge, from a tradesperson would be then obviously trade of a computer, high knowledge. We understand China's system is going to be worldwide at some point. So why are we trying and trying and trying and it's not working? So then we must then give up our desire of maintaining our worldwide subsystem and then working only in our country. We must retrieve from the world scenario so then we can rebuild. And this was explained many times before. But the more we try to do what we should not be doing, the worse it gets. There it is, Israel back in war. So how much further do we want to jeopardize the future of our country without realizing we must then retrieve from the world's scenario and then rebuild our system? There are people already leaving their posts. There is then restructuring of the government, but the government is not doing what they should be doing. Namely then, taxation instantly. Because when the Chinese system becomes available, the only way of taxation is via freight. So a department of taxation and freighting should be started, so then we can gather taxes instantly as people purchase products. Because we are not talking about anymore a person with the money in the pocket going to a store, buying a product and paying taxes from then on. We are speaking of people already ordering online and not paying tax. So either the government doesn't know how to evaluate or they are plain stupid. How much longer is going to linger so the government can realize they must start taxing? But then they try every situation they can ever think of, provoking others for war, provoking then the North Koreans, provoking then the hot area, then they are dragged around then Australia with their ship over there in a hot zone. Cash in the future, then poking Japan to print out more money, poking Australia then to make projections of the future, not even having the money. How long is this country going to be devilish rather than understanding devil no longer exists? We are no longer during the time of deceit, we are during the time of the dragon or time of precision. And comes from China. Our economy is ruining. Day by day is becoming worse and worse and worse and worse until it breaks. What else can we say? And there is an article in American Online regarding conspiracy theorists. As if people are unaware of that there is an Ozarks where then the government is thinking on going underground. It is a fact. It's no longer theory. The place over there in the Ozarks is true. It was documented. It was filmed. It was recorded. It was evaluated. And the problem is FBI, they are a group of a bunch of incompetent people. CIA the same way. Police force the same way. They are not investigating the Overwatch system, stealing the money from the government and investing in their own pretense of a family residence, 72,000 square. So the government is deceitful. They are devilish because they are from the devil's time. We are no longer in devil's time. We are in China's time. Time of the dragon. How long is it going to take for the government to understand and people who are no longer deviling around? They are Chinesing around or then dragging around. This period is the period of the dragon. There is no more Nahashatan, the facet of devil. But the government is trying to push their devilish agenda and truly is coming back to them and not working. And we are pushing the envelope so far because the situation is this. What it takes from China is a simple download in the computer. The most dangerous situation you can ever imagine. And we thought we had the atomic bomb. What can take place from China is this. They make their system available. You download in your computer. You can do trade via computer directly. The most dangerous weapon you can ever imagine. And they can do it any moment. So our government, being ridiculous as it is, not incapable, but badly managed. This country is very capable. But unfortunately the management is bad. What can we say? When there is a company with bad management, you replace the manager. But then you have to have a plan if you're going to replace the manager, because if you replace the person with the same agenda, at some point it's not going to work. So the evaluation is regarding then the new plan set thousands of years ago, where China must take the lead at some point. And what we can do is get rid of our devilish way of government and understand our subsystem and rebuild our subsystem. So there is no conspiracy theory. The Ozark is true. What can we expect from other countries? Europe is entangled. North America is entangled. Then you have the BRICS, then Daniel 11 already stated many times. But then requires tabernacling because Israel thus far is at war. So obviously, our government should retrieving itself from the world's market for rebuilding. Because otherwise it's not going to work. When the Chinese, they are ready and they can simply launch their system and people can download in their computers. Then how the government is going to read it? Because the government is not educated. They don't understand. And people are no longer with paper money in their pocket, going over there at the store, paying for the product, and then paying taxes with it. They are ordering online. From overseas, they can get products online without paying taxes. So then the link with this situation, doing online trade without paying taxes forces any responsible government of implementing then a system of taxation via freighting. It is obvious. But then the government, only God knows what they are doing over there. They are doing nothing.